Bangkok. Mr. Sanjay Mishra, Director SEMCA, representing, of course, Professor Asha Kanwar, President of COAL, and Ibu Professor Tian Belawati, Rector of the Universitas Terbukam Indonesia, today in her capacity as President of ICDE. Esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. As Secretary General of the Asian Association of Open Universities, or AOU for short, it gives me great pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to all participants of this regional symposium on OER. I congratulate Tan Sri Raj, the convener, and his organizing committee on their success in bringing these events to fruition. As we have just heard, the symposium serves as a platform for promoting the use and reuse of OER, as well as for sharing knowledge, experience, and skill among practicing educators, as well as what I call new users and advocates of OER in the Asia region. Indeed, this IDRC-inspired WOU initiative is very much welcome by AOU, as it dovetails nicely with the association's mission and core objective, which is to encourage the adoption of quality and good practices in ODL amongst its member institutions of higher learning, which total up to 74 to date, distributed across Asia. Indeed, open educational resources have increasingly been recognized as a quicker and more cost-effective way of providing enhanced quality learning materials to potentially greater number of students in this information-rich world. AOU thus appreciates the proactive and timely actions taken by its international partners like IDRC, UNESCO, COAL, ICDE, as well as other like-minded active proponents in spearheading and supporting this fast-growing OER movement. Some of you in this audience might recall that AOU co-hosted the AOU COAL UNESCO workshop on OER for senior management in Wawasan Open University in October 2011 as a post-conference event of the 25th AOU annual conference. During the same conference, a CEO roundtable discussion on OER and the new ecosystem of educational resources facilitated by the Pearson Group also took place. AOU supports and appreciates very much the pioneering and ongoing efforts of Tan Sri Raj and his team in creating OER Asia as a much-needed web-based forum or touch point catering to the needs of OER practitioners in this part of the globe. I wish to conclude by thanking Tan Sri Raj for inviting AOU to be a part of this symposium and for the opportunity to welcome all of you at this symposium this morning. Now, wearing my second hat as Vice Chancellor Designate, I join Tan Sri Raj and all members of the WOU community in wishing all participants, in particular our guests from overseas, an enjoyable and productive symposium. Thank you very much.
Colleagues on the stage, thank you again for your very warm words and encouragement to move this symposium moving. But before we wrap this opening session with an address by Dr. Gwang Jo Kim, OER wishes to recognize a special person who's amongst us. She, more than anybody else, has been a motivating person for this university and me personally to embark on this OER journey. As a development communication person, she was equally inspirational in encouraging many ministries of education, information, and communication, as well as their universities in South and Southeast Asia, to seriously embrace the new communication technologies for purposes of social development. We are pleased we could persuade Ms. Maria Ng, who recently retired as IDRC's communication and development person, to this meeting, and as a mark of our affection, respect, and admiration, present her with a specially crafted plaque recognizing her efforts and contribution to open access. I would like to invite Maria's last boss at the IDRC's regional office, Dr. Rosalia Shoretino, to present her the plaque on behalf of OER Asia and WOU. Maria, would you like to come and? Thank you, Maria. Now, the plaque reads, "In grateful appreciation, awarded on the 19th day of September 2012 to Maria Ng Lei Hun, in recognition of your tireless efforts in promoting openness in education and the inspiration behind OERAsia.org." Maria. You can. You have the liberty. And Dr. Kim would like us to have a 2 or 3 minute break and then begin his presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a couple of words. This is a stunning surprise, and it is so typical of Raj to be stunning, right? I have been so privileged in my 36 years of working with IDRC to have touched the working lives of so many people, so many distinguished people, and so many distinguished institutions. And I thank very much for all those who have worked with me. I hope the candle, though, has not burnt out, might continue to burn a little bit more, and with Raj's help and beautiful colleagues' help, I'd like to just make a short announcement that we have been discussing the formation of an NGO, which is called For Asia, Field Officers, Operations, Resources for Asia, as a support to other donor organizations and for making more impactful outcomes from development in the region. And so with friends and colleagues' help and a group of us, we will keep the candle burning for Asia. Thank you very much.
I think those of us want to go and enjoy the presentation from there, please do. And I'll wait for Dr. Kim to return. Just a couple of notes, housekeeping. The entire proceedings is being streamed, I think, globally through the OER Asia community. And therefore, you are on camera. But you're always welcome to make indiscreet remarks, and one would appreciate indiscreet remarks done properly. After all, this is an Islamic country, so you got to be a little bit careful as to what you say, despite openness in terms of resources. Okay. The other thing would be we want to try and keep strictly to time. Because we have no more than 2.5 days. All of the sessions are plenary sessions. So you do have that responsibility as a speaker to try and limit yourself to about, I think Mohan said 20 minutes, Mohan? 20, and the keynoters will have a little bit longer. The way this conference has been arranged is to try and have a keynote on a particular theme and subsequently papers that will be related to the theme. And since this is the first such symposium we are orchestrating, we are not having any breakout sessions. I think we want to hear what everybody has to say about this field and their practice. And we want everybody to also hear what is being said. Now, those are some simple groundbreaking rules of the game. And with that, if Dr. Kim is ready, the stage is yours, Dr. Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Convener, OER Asia, Tan Sri Dato Raj. Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kwang Jo Kim. I'm director of UNESCO office in Bangkok, which is UNESCO's Asia Pacific Regional Bureau for Education. I'm very pleased and honored to be part of this important symposium. As many speakers before me pointed out, UNESCO has, has been working on this with many partners, and many of them are in this room. I'm very happy to meet you all. And today, with this important theme, OER, when I was asked to speak, I thought it might be useful for us to share with what we do in UNESCO to promote open and distant learning and OER. So today I'm going to speak about the important trends associated with this ODL OER, and then where are we in terms of pushing this OER agenda. Then I will share with you some bullet points in terms of carrying on this important agenda. Can you help me? Or can you all hear me clearly? Okay. If not, please raise your hand. I'm given 20 minutes. I'll do my best. So this is the storyline, issues, trends. I think it's important for us to remind, to think about where education stands in Asia Pacific and how OER can be useful in terms of solving or tackling with the educational challenges. So that's why I think it's really maybe important for me to start with the trends and then OER movement shortly and UNESCO initiative and perhaps some other bullet points where we can move forward. Okay, so of course these are not the major or could not be representative of what is happening in the region, but at least in conjunction with the OER, I think these are important trends that we have to bear in mind. Firstly, as you know, this Education for All initiative as part of Millennium Development Goal Initiative, we have only 3 years to achieve EFA Education for All goals. But as you can see, many countries in the region are likely to miss the target, reaching the 100% of eligible school children so that they can complete at least first cycle of education. Right? I'm not going to go into the detail, but just to give you an idea where we stand. Only few countries will achieve or attain the EFA targets by 2015, and many countries will not be able to reach the target if we continue to do business as usual. UNESCO recently coined a concept called education poverty, like poverty. So it is defined as someone who has not completed first 2 years of education is defined as education poverty. Anyway, it is the indicator is trying to capture the extent of marginalization when it comes to educational opportunities. As you can see, in a country like Cambodia, if you are a girl and if you live in rural area, your chances of getting access to education is much lower, or your chance of being education poverty is much higher. That's what this chart is showing us in a nutshell. So another way of looking at this same phenomenon is looking at the number of kids out of school. Although over the years the numbers has been decreasing, as you can see in the graph or chart, it has been stagnant in recent years in terms of reducing or dropping the number of out-of-school children. Again, one can think about OER or ODR not just in the context of higher education, but in terms of providing the basic, very basic education to everybody. This is the share of this out-of-school children, adolescents, but as I say, stagnant in the last 3 years in many regions of the world. So, disparities in access between rural and urban areas are very much pronounced in this particular area or part of the region. I think there are many reasons for that. Rapid urbanization with the industrialization, etc., etc. But this is something we also need to address in terms of reaching the unreached, in terms of reaching the EFA target by the year 2015. By and large, more than half of the world population are already living in so-called urban area. But in this part of the world, in this part of Asia Pacific, in Vietnam, for instance, still the majority of people are living in rural area. And the children in rural area are not doing as well as their counterparts in urban areas. So here's the gap. Another important dimension or trend that we need to keep in mind is this language dimension. As you all know, there are so many languages are spoken in this region called Asia and Pacific. But if one think of the contents, the language that we used for OER, it's only 1% out of 3,500 languages. Indeed, language is very important dimension, not just for OER, but all kinds of education contents. And this has been quite challenging for our member states and for international entities like us, especially from the angle of reaching the unreached, those ethnic minorities, linguistic minorities. So clearly, OER has a great potential, but one needs to understand that this is the reason where we have so many languages. Even in Thailand, I understand there are more than 70, almost 80 different languages are being spoken, although the language groups are very small. So, higher education, new landscape. We know that we have many different types of higher education by now. It's not just conventional campus-based universities. We have a corporate university, we have online university, cyber university, all kinds of universities. And these universities are crossing national borders, so-called cross-border higher education is now, everyone accepts it's kind of a part of our daily life. Using technology, use of technology. So in many countries, higher education is already at what we call mass education stage. Particularly the country from which I am, Republic of Korea, Japan, and many countries. The higher education is already massified. So with this massification, internationalization, one of the key issues is how do we ensure the quality? How do we know? How do we assess? How do we recognize learning from different systems, different institutions? For that, UNESCO is working very hard with our member states to devise or to set the standards for that matter. I'm coming to that point. So just to demonstrate these points for your information. And Asia Pacific as a whole is lagging behind when it comes to the expansion, although the expansion has been quite dramatic in many countries, including a gigantic country like China and India, but still behind the other regions in terms of gross enrollment rate, etc. Another important trend in higher education, as we all know, is the student mobility. Students are moving beyond the national boundaries. Again, one of the key issues is how do we ensure the quality? How do we make sure through ODL and OER that these students get proper assistance or service of all kind? I'm going to skip this. So we have many programs to deal with this mobility or to promote mobility, franchising, training, joint duty programs, etc. But I would like to highlight this. The last bullet point is about e-learning and digital learning. Again, this is the area for people in ODL and OER can do a lot in this regard. Of course, OER can be relevant to all kinds of higher education, but particularly higher education being delivered through technologies I think is very important. So with this concern or development, so what UNESCO some years back, together with OECD, we generate OECD guideline on cross-border higher education. This does not directly deal with the quality issue when it comes to OER, ODL, but nevertheless, this was, to my knowledge, the first attempt by international entity to assure the quality for cross-border higher education. And also, just very recently, here in this Asia and Pacific region, we have revised what we call Asia Pacific Regional Convention on the Recognition of Qualifications in Higher Education. That was initially prepared more than 2 decades ago, back in 1983, and then we realized that this, the existing convention or norm does not capture the development in higher education, including ODL, OER, all kinds of new forms of higher education. So we did it last year in Japan and to get endorsement from our member states. But there's a long way to go for us to have member states to ratify the revised convention, but there is a consensus among member states, just to let you know that this, the latest development in higher education, including open and distance learning, e-learning, should be recognized or as an integral part of higher education, and for that the learning from these other models should be recognized and the credit should be transmitted across national borders. That's the importance of this, this particular convention or norm. Now, okay, so with this we see this ODL, OER movement. Mr. Chairman, can I have 5-6 more minutes? I'm about time conscious. How much? 6 minutes? Okay, let me speed up. Okay, so let me turn to OER movement. Since you are all experts, I don't think I need to go through all the details, but at least it will be useful for us to go back and how OER is being defined. As you can see, we can see some commonalities across different definition of OER. So OECD, COL, you know, William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, OER Commons, they all have definition of OER. I've asked my colleagues to prepare this for me because to me OER the concept is evolving, and I wanted to know where we stand in terms of defining OER from operational perspective, and here it is. So you can see some commonalities like a free, open, teaching, learning, public domain, reuse, without charge. I think these are the very important components of this operational definition of OER. With that UNESCO definition, I think it's very interesting to see our own definition in our organization, UNESCO. 10 years back, it was defined as technology-enabled open provision of educational resources for consultation, use, and adaptation by a community of users for non-commercial purposes. Now, just this year, it is any digital resources that may be freely accessed and used for education purposes. So in a way, UNESCO has expanded this concept in a decade. Again, it's evolving concept. With that, again, I have asked my colleague, Ken is here. Can you, by the way, my colleague Ken Barrientos is a specialist from in our office. She will stay until the last minute of this symposium. But I'll have to leave a little more. So she will, in case you have questions, Ken will be able to answer the question. So this is what Ken prepared for me for this particular presentation. At the moment, in UNESCO, these are the what we see as OER. It's not just learning resources. It's articles, textbooks, digital equipment. Note that we include the books and journals and software tools, of course, open source and free public domain software, etc., and instructional and didactical designs and experiences, and web assets. So again, because OER is relatively new and recent, it might be important for us to remind ourselves of the domains that OER cover, so that when we speak to non-experts, especially to those who work in the policy circle, I think it would be important for them to realize, to understand what OER is all about. So, with that, what OER stands to solve? So, as I mentioned in explaining the important trends, obviously, we see a great potential. UNESCO in Bangkok has begun a small project to test these ideas, the educational contents in different languages. Okay, now, so of course, new roles of higher education. I think this new role for higher education is particularly important. If we go for conventional approaches in, I would say, the less developed countries, where the financial constraint is severe, I don't think we can solve the problem. I should not say we cannot solve the problem, but it will take years, if not centuries. But these countries need the capacity building rather quickly. So one of the questions that we may raise is, how can we train scientists and engineers through ODL and OER? As we all know, MIT is one of those pioneers more than 10 years back. I think this can be done with our collective determination. That's the way I view it. That's why I think this OER discourse is so important. So from UNESCO's perspective, especially UNESCO Bangkok's perspective, these are our expectations: reaching the unreached with OER, ODL, and then minimizing rural-urban disparities and gap, both in and between countries, and also, of course, raising the quality of resources, contents, innovations. So with that, what we do from UNESCO, I know I have a couple of minutes. Okay. I'm going to skip this one. So standard setting, I referred to this already. Normative instruments, we all know. I think many of you participated in this, the OER meeting in Paris 3 months ago. So we came up with the Paris Declaration, according to which we highlight some of the important things that we need to do collectively, like capacity building, policy development, awareness more than anything else. By the way, these are the initiatives that we do with the COL. And we ourselves are developing materials for policymakers or teacher educators, etc. For those of you who are interested in, you can visit our website here. Information brokering, of course, is one of our key role. Using our convening authority, we try to provide a knowledge platform for that, so that countries and experts can learn from each other. And thanks to this, the World OER Congress, by now we have this, what we call 6 regional OER policy fora. I think this is very important as start. This is a result of small, quick and dirty type of survey from in our office to see what are the obstacles and successful factors in our membership when it comes to OER or promoting ODL. Just for your information, I will finish with these recommendations. So what's next? Well, based on this initial overview, I think it's important for us to promote the understanding more than anything, to advocate and promote these OER ideas to people who can take decisions at all levels. Secondly, so normative instrument to ensure quality, I think, is something that we need to work very hard. And across institution, of course, and expand OERs to all subsectors. This, I would like to highlight this point in particular, because as we have seen in our region, we still have to reach many unreached people at the lower level of education. Again, as OER, ODR is not just for higher education. We must recognize the potential or the importance of OER for lower levels of education also, and more develop more educational contents in more Asian languages and contents that are pertinent to Asian context and Asian culture. And also we collectively should support countries to build their capacity. With that, I will end my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and thank you again for having me in this important forum. Thank you.
Dr. Kim, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. We have been rather cruel in the organizing committee in reminding people that they have no more than X minutes for their presentation. Rather prescriptive, but we thought it's good to discipline ourselves if we are going to push forward a very highly discipline-centric philosophy of open educational resources. I do have about 3 minutes for any burning questions. Just one question from anybody here, and if Dr. Kim is prepared to respond to that. If not, we will challenge his colleague who's going to be here the rest of the meeting. Anybody. Go on, folks. You don't get directors of UNESCO visiting you every day. Right. We have a few eminent grace, the important people in the field here in this audience. So there's plenty of time to get yourselves enriched. Also recognizing Mr. Yuko Savi from the Asian Development Bank.